Okay, so where did we stop in the last class? We talked about the cardiac cycle in the previous class, right? And what does this entail? It constitutes of all the events that occur during one heartbeat. And how long does it take for that heartbeat? It takes 0.8 seconds. So what do you think is average rate? It would be around 75 beats per minute. And as I've told you before, you can check your own heartbeat and see who's just the lowest. Probably an athlete around among you. Okay, so that's about the cardiac cycle. So next comes the circulation. Now, what kind of circulation do we have? We have a double circulation. Let me take a different color. Double circulation. You should already know this. There are two main routes for the circulation to go on in our body. They are, one is systemic and the other is the pulmonary. These are the two circulations, and you already know this. So let's say the pulmonary circulation starts off. Oh, you can't see anything. Pulmonary circulation starts off from your right ventricle, and when this undergoes a systole, blood is pumped out into the pulmonary arch or the pulmonary aorta. From there, it goes to the lungs. And what kind of a blood is flowing through here? It's why is it not scrolling? There's something wrong with it. Okay. So and so what kind of blood is flowing in it? It's deoxygenated blood, right? Because it's collected from all parts of the body. That comes into your right side of the heart. So from the lungs, it gets oxygenated and comes back through pulmonary veins back into the heart or the left auricle. So this is the pulmonary circulation where the deoxygenated blood goes to the lungs to get oxygenated and comes back to the heart. This cycle from the heart to the lungs, from there back to the heart, in the meanwhile getting oxygenated, is called pulmonary circulation. So now let's see what's the systemic circulation. The systemic circulation would be so now that the oxygenated blood that has come to your left part of the heart, that is the left auricle, flows into your left ventricle. Left ventricle. And from here, when the ventricle undergoes the systole or the contraction, it is pushed out into the systemic aorta. This is the biggest arch, systemic aorta. And from here, it gets all branched up into arterioles and ends up in capillaries, distributing all the oxygen and the nutrients to all parts of the body, all the tissues in the body, and it is collected from the capillaries via venules, from the venules through the vena cava, comes back to the right side of the heart. That is the right artery. Sorry, auricle or atrium. Or the auricle. So this circulation where it comes from the heart to all parts of the body and collects the carbon dioxide and the waste through the venous system and comes back to the heart is called the systemic circulation. There are two, the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation helps in oxygenating the blood, and the systemic circulation helps in distributing it to all parts of the body and collecting the waste, which carbon dioxide is a part of, and comes back to the heart. So this cycle goes on between the pulmonary and the systemic. So these two constitute the double circulation. The blood flows through the heart twice. Okay, so that's all about the double circulation. Now there's also something that we need to mention when it comes to circulation, which is the portal circulation. This also we have dealt with in the previous class. Portal, let me take a different color and go up a little bit. So the portal circulation is, where is it? Portal circulation. Now, portal system is a system where it starts off with the capillaries and it also ends in capillaries. And an example is a renal portal system or the hepatic portal system. Hepatic portal system. So where do we find this? This system is found between the alimentary canal and, as the name suggests, hepatic goes to the liver. And the naming of the portal system is usually named after the capillaries that end up named after the organ that the capillaries end up in, which is the liver. So it is called the hepatic portal system. So that's the portal circulation, and there is another circulation that we need to mention, that is will be coronary circulation. Coronary, as the name suggests, coronary circulation. Should have taken different color. Okay. So coronary, as the name suggests, coronary means heart, right? So because the heart is doing a lot of work, it also needs nutrients, oxygen, and the waste materials need to be taken out, right? So heart also gets a blood supply and that is through two coronary arteries and two pairs of coronary veins collected back to the heart. Sorry, back to your right atria. So these supply the oxygenated blood. These bring back the deoxygenated blood. Okay, so this supply to the muscle tissue because it is doing a lot of work, right? Continuously beating because of the contractions of the heart. And so that just about brings to the end of the circulation, the four different types: the double circulation, the systemic and the pulmonary, and the portal circulation. It starts off from the alimentary canal and back to the liver, and the coronary circulation, which supplies blood to the muscle tissue of the heart so that it does its work. So next comes, and one more thing before we get into the blood vessels, the heart. The heartbeat can be if it's regular or irregular, or if there's any abnormality or disease, It can be diagnosed with the help of an ECG. ECG. What does it stand for? Electrocardiograph. And the graphic representation, let me take a different color. Graphic representation is called electrocardiogram. And what does it tell us? It tells us if there is any abnormality or if there is any onset of a disease, so that they measure the waves and the segments on this piece of graph paper, and if you analyze it, then you will know if there's any abnormality in the heartbeat or the electrical activity of the heart. So now let's see about these blood vessels, right? What are the different kinds of blood vessels that we see? We have blood vessels. Now we see 5 different kinds of blood vessels in our body. What are they? They are arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins, in that order. We are going from the heart and back to the heart. Okay, so these are the 5 different blood vessels that we see. Now let's look at the wall or the basic structure or the wall of the vessel. There is a little bit of difference between arteries and veins, which we will get to it in just a minute. But first, let's look at the wall. The wall of mainly the arteries and veins consist of 3 distinct layers. And what are they? Distinct layers. The first one is the tunica intima. Tunica intima. The next is the tunica media. I need to practice writing a little bit better. And tunica externa. These are the 3 tunica externa. These are the 3 layers which are found in that order, coming from the inside to out. Okay. So let's see what tunica intima is made up of. Tunica intima is the innermost layer. Innermost layer, and it has endothelial lining. Endothelial cells lining the inner layer, and you find a layer of connective tissue. This is the innermost layer, which is the tunica intima. Okay, and the outer margin, this is the, and this will be the lumen, right? So we are going from the inside out, right? So the innermost layer is the tunica intima. On the outside, this is the tunica. Of course, it is not that big because it's only a layer of endothelial cells. Sorry about that. The outside of this layer has a thick layer of elastic fibers called internal elastic lamina. internal elastic lamina. Now remember this because there is also an external elastic lamina. This is present on the outside of the tunica intima. And the tunica media, as the name suggests, is just lost power. Tunica media is the middle layer. It consists of smooth muscles. Consists of smooth muscle layer, and there's a difference between the arteries and veins when it comes to the tunica media, because this is well developed in the arteries than in the veins. And it is this tunica media is separated from the tunica externa by, where is my pointer? By an external, oh my god, I can't see it. By an external elastic lamina. So if this is the media, you will see the external elastic media here and the internal elastic media here. Because the internal elastic media comes off from the tunica interna, and the external elastic media comes off from the tunica media. And the last one, come on. Last one is the tunica externa, also called as adventitia. And this consists of elastic fibers, collagen and elastic fibers. Elastic fibers. So that's about the three layers, and there is a difference in the width of these three layers between the arteries and the veins, because they function differently, the arteries and veins, and we'll see the difference. Let's look at the difference between those two right now. So what is the difference between these two vessels? Although they both carry blood, there's a slight difference between the arteries and the veins. Now, what are they? Where are these located? I mean, you guys have asked me this before, right, in class. So, can't even get a straight line. So these are deep seated. Where are they located? The arteries. The arteries are deep seated. That means they are way inside. And these are superficial. That means they are close to the surface. Okay? So that's the first and foremost difference. Now, the wall of the artery is a bit thicker. Wall of the artery is a bit thicker and more elastic. And this, as opposed to this, it's a bit thinner and a bit more rigid. Okay, and as for the three layers, the tunica externa, tunica media, and the tunica interna, the tunica interna is much more developed in here than in here in the veins, the tunica, because as we have seen, this is more elastic and this is less elastic, right? Then the tunica media, which consists of smooth muscles, right? So this also is thicker. That means it contains more muscle cells, and this is thinner with less number of the muscle layers of the muscle cells. Smooth muscles, remember? Okay. Now the tunica externa, this is less developed in here in the arteries. But here it's well developed, or a little bit, when compared to arteries, a bit well developed in the veins. So that so the location is, these are deep seated. The veins are superficial. They are the arteries are thicker, so that they can take up the pressure that is coming off from the heart, and muscle layers are well developed in the arteries than in the veins. Okay, then comes the valves. Um, what vessels don't have valves? These don't have valves. And the veins do have valves, so that blood doesn't flow downwards due to gravity. Okay, and then it won't be able to collect all the blood from the extremities and send it back via the systemic circulation back to the heart. I guess I have to write it better so that you can see it. And then comes the direction of the flow. Usually it is away from the heart, because let's take another thing. Usually blood is flowing away from the heart, and here it is flowing towards the heart, because this collects all from all parts of the body and brings it to the heart. And here the oxygenated blood that comes from the lungs is distributed to all parts of the body. So these are going away from the heart, but the only exception is the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery, where the deoxygenated blood is taken to the lungs. And here the only exception, here it is bringing all the deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body, but the only exception is the pulmonary vein. Pulmonary veins, two pairs of them, that bring the oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Okay, so it's usually, but if we take the exception out of the equation, then it's usually flowing, blood always flows away from the heart in the arteries, and not always, because of the exception, and in the veins it is towards the heart. And then the actual flow is fast and intermittent. That means it flows in spurts, like your heartbeat. Now in here it is slow and steady. By the time the blood reaches the capillaries and comes to the veins, the pressure goes down, so the flow is usually slow and steady. But here, because the heart is pumping it into the arteries directly, it is usually fast and in spurts. Okay, the next comes the blood pressure. The pressure in the heart, because the heart is pumping, the pressure is more in the arteries. And the pressure is less in here. It loses all its pressure by the time it comes through the capillaries, in through the venules, and into the veins. After death, what happens? After death, the arteries usually don't have any blood in them, but the veins still carry blood. And if there is no blood in here, these vessels usually collapse. But these, when empty, these don't collapse because of the strong muscular layer that it has. But these veins, these collapse. And the lumen in here is small. Lumen means the interior space. And here the lumen is large. Okay, these are the different differences between the arteries and the veins. So if you go over it one more time, the arteries are deep-seated. That means they're way inside, and the veins are superficial. Arteries are thicker and more elastic, and veins are a bit thinner and rigid. The three layers, the smooth muscle layer is well developed in the arteries than it is in the veins. And veins have valves, arteries don't have them. Blood usually moves away from the heart in the arteries, except with an exception, but in veins it moves towards the heart. It flows fast, and it is intermittent in the arteries, but it's slow and steady in the veins. And the pressure is more in the arteries than in the veins, and they don't collapse in arteries, and the vessels collapse in here. And when even you die, you don't see any blood in the arteries, but you do see in the veins. And I forgot to mention that the lumen in the arteries is small in the arteries, and it's large in the veins. So that is all about the different kinds of circulation that you see in the human body, and the differences between the arteries and the veins. Now, if you want to look at the picture, I guess you get a better understanding of it. So this is the art. If you take a section of the artery and the vein, as you can see, the lumen is smaller here, and the lumen is bigger here. The blue colored wall that you see, the endothelial lining here, and the middle smooth muscle layer is bigger in here than in here. See, the and the rest of it is basically the same, except for a few characteristic features. With that, that's about it. So in the next class, we'll look at the different disorders associated with the system. Okay, all right.